I am 96 years old. I have reached a vantage point where the view is perfectly clear, but the air is incredibly cold. When you get to be my age, people start treating you like a library of secrets. They want to know the key to a long life. They want to hear about the good old days or get some sanitized piece of wisdom they can put on a throw pillow. But I'm not going to give you that. Your parents won't tell you what I'm about to say. Your therapists will wrap it in gentler language. Your self-help gurus will try to sell you a solution for it. But there is no solution. There is only the truth. I've spent nearly a century on this earth. I've outlived 2 husbands, one of my daughters, and every single person who ever knew me as a little girl. I have watched cities rise out of dirt and seen the way technology has turned the world into a frantic, buzzing hive. And in all those decades, I've realized one thing that keeps me awake when the house is silent. We are all sleepwalking. We are all living as if we have an infinite bank account of time, when the reality is we are spending our last few pennies every single hour. You think you're living. You're not. You're just waiting. You're waiting for the weekend. You're waiting for the promotion. You're waiting for the kids to grow up, for the mortgage to be paid, for the right time to finally be happy. I didn't learn this through a book. I learned it through the sound of a closing door. It was 1968, late November. I was 38 years old, and at the time I thought 38 was real life. I thought I was in the thick of it, and that the rest of my life would happen later. My husband, Thomas, was an architect. He was a man of lines and logic, a man who built things to last centuries. He used to come home with graphite on his palms and a tired smile. That particular Tuesday, he was heading out to a site visit. I remember it vividly because I was annoyed that the kitchen was messy, annoyed that the kids were being loud, and annoyed that he hadn't picked up the milk like I'd asked. He kissed my cheek as I was scrubbing a pot. I didn't even look up. I just said, "Don't be late. We have a lot to do tonight." He said, "I'll see you at 6, Evelyn." He never saw 6 o'clock. A patch of black ice and a heavy truck took care of that. When the police officer stood in my doorway, the world didn't stop. The clock on the wall kept ticking. The pot I had been scrubbing was still sitting in the sink, half clean. That's the first thing they don't tell you. When your world ends, the rest of the world ignores it. In the weeks that followed, I sat in the silence of our bedroom and realized that Thomas had taken 1,000 later moments with him. We were going to go to Italy. Later. We were going to have that difficult conversation about our marriage. Later. I was going to tell him how much I admired his spirit. Later. I made a vow then. I sat at my vanity, looking at a woman I didn't recognize, and I promised that I would never take a second for granted again. I promised I would be the most present, most loving, most intentional person on the planet. And here is the part that will actually hurt you to hear. I failed. Within 2 years, I was back to worrying about the laundry. Within 5 years, I was remarried and found myself getting irritated when my new husband, Arthur, chewed his food too loudly. The real tragedy of being human isn't that life is short. We all know life is short. It's a cliche. The real tragedy is that we forget that it's short. The brain is designed to seek comfort. It is designed to settle into a routine. It wants to believe that tomorrow is a guarantee, because if we truly realized, if we felt it in our bones, that we might not wake up tomorrow, we'd be too terrified to function. So we slip into autopilot. We drift. We spend 40 years in a drift. I spent 4 decades with Arthur. He was a kind man, a steady man. He died 10 years ago, and when I look back at those 40 years, my regrets aren't about the vacations we couldn't afford or the house we never renovated. My regret is the ordinary Tuesday. I regret all the times I sat across from him at dinner while my mind was at the office. I regret the times he wanted to show me something in his garden and I said, Maybe tomorrow, dear, I'm right in the middle of this show. I treated our time like it was a commodity I could always buy more of. I traded the presence of the person I loved for the productivity of a chore that didn't matter. The laundry is always there. The people aren't. You're listening to this and you're probably thinking, I'll do better. I'll call my mom tonight. I'll hug my partner tighter. And you will, for about 3 days. Maybe a week if you're disciplined. But then the thief of later will come back. He's very quiet. He whispers that you're tired. He whispers that you have plenty of time. He tells you that your friends will understand why you canceled again. He tells you that you can start that dream project once you have more stability. Let me tell you something from the finish line. Stability is a myth. You think you'll travel when you're 65? By then, your back will ache, your energy will flag, and you'll spend half your trip looking for a pharmacy. You think you'll reconcile with your brother after you've processed your anger? He might be in the ground before you finished your first session of therapy. We postpone our lives as if we're practicing for a play that never actually opens. I lost my daughter Sarah when she was 50. Cancer. I was 73. Sitting by her bed, watching her life flicker out, I realized that I had spent her entire childhood wishing she would just grow up so things would be easier. And then I spent her adulthood wishing she would just slow down so we could talk. We were never in the same moment at the same time. I was always living in the future of her, and she was always living in the future of herself. What a waste. What a terrible, heart-wrenching waste of the only thing that actually exists now. I see you all now with your little glowing screens. I have a great-grandson, Leo. He's 19. He comes to visit me, and he sits in that armchair over there. He loves me, I know he does. But he isn't with me. He is somewhere else. He is in a digital world of ghosts and echoes. He is responding to people who aren't in the room while ignoring the woman who won't be in the world much longer. He thinks he's multitasking. He thinks he's staying connected. But connectivity is not the same as connection. He is trading a high-definition, three-dimensional, once-in-a-lifetime moment for a flat image on a screen. And he doesn't even know he's doing it. He thinks that because I'm here today, I'll be here whenever he decides to look up. But one day, he will sit in this house, and I won't be in that chair. And he will remember the top of his own phone screen better than he remembers the color of my eyes or the stories I tried to tell him. That is the modern curse. You aren't just losing time. You are giving it away for free to people and things that don't love you back. You are scrolling through the lives of strangers while your own life sits in the corner, waiting for you to notice it. So, what do? If the tragedy is that we forget, then the only solution is to learn how to remember. I'm 96. I have exactly 35,064 days behind me. If I'm lucky, I have a few hundred more. If I could go back and talk to that 38-year-old woman in the kitchen, I wouldn't tell her to be perfect. Perfection is a lie. I would tell her 2 words, remember and return. When you find yourself getting angry at your spouse for some trivial thing, remember that their seat will one day be empty and then return to the room. When you're staring at your phone while your child is trying to tell you about their day, remember that they are changing every second and then return to them. When you're stressing about a job that would replace you in a week if you drop dead, remember that your time is the only currency you can't earn back and then return to your life. It is a constant battle. You will drift away 1,000 times a day. You will get swept up in the busyness of existing. You will feel the urge to say, not now. Fight it. Fight it with everything you have. The most important moments of your life won't be the ones you post photos of. They won't be the weddings or the graduations. They will be the quiet, unremarkable, boring minutes, the way the light hits the floor in the afternoon, the sound of someone you love breathing while they sleep, the taste of a cold glass of water when you're thirsty, these are the things you will miss when they're gone. Don't wait until you're 96 to realize that you were already a millionaire in the only currency that matters. Stop listening to me now. Don't go to the next video. Don't check your emails. Go into the other room and look at the person there. Really look at them. Or pick up the phone and call someone, not to catch up, but just to hear their voice. Tell them you're glad they exist. It'll feel awkward. Do it anyway, because I promise you, from the very end of the line, later is a ghost that will never stop haunting you if you let it. Live now, not because it's a beautiful sentiment, but because now is all you were ever given.